Welcome back. This week we have illustrator and writer. She's the creator of Awards for Good Boys, Shelby Lorman.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
We're so excited to have you. Um,
I
Her
people
Instagram is just amazing, and I share it all the time. And she calls out guys for being performatively good.
yeah, I love to talk about the goodness complex, uh, which is just in disarray these days. Oh my gosh. What a
Exactly.
um
But I'm also super excited because I saw that you're recently on back on Tinder.
oh am
Oh.
I? Okay, so full disclosure, I got on Tinder a few weeks ago before Trump had was taking social distancing seriously.
Yeah.
So I downloaded Tinder specifically to make my first photo the flatten the curve graph.
Oh, okay.
And then it was just like me, and then I was also in it. And then I made my bio like I really will answer questions if you have them. I basically was like I was running out of platforms in which to yell at people from about like taking this seriously, and it was just I mean, now, time is a flat circle. Now it really, the tone has shifted. But, 2 weeks ago, I was like talking to people who fully did not
So you
believe.
were just trying to be like, I'm doing this to tell people to not fuck.
Fully was like, this is my demographic. I'm getting in there. I will just try to tell them to flatten the curve. But then it became this, like, of course, this weird social experiment that I was obsessed with, where I was like, oh my gosh, this is a wild time.
hmm
I also, because I'm super cool, I'm on Raya.
Wow,
Yeah.
elite.
So it's so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. Also, I wasn't cool enough to get on it myself. My friend sent me the like friend pass years ago,
Oh,
and I was
yeah.
like, all right, I'll do it. Um,
I
so that's like I'm always on a dating app of some kind. So like, year round I've been using Raya just because it's like a little less overwhelming, even though it's embarrassing and weird.
mhm.
Last no, 2 weeks ago, which has actually been really pleasant.
You sorry, your audio cut out. What, 2 weeks
Oh,
ago?
2 weeks ago? Oh yeah. Listen, yeah, I got back on Tinder 2 weeks
Oh,
ago.
back on Tinder. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so how's that been going? Like what trends are you seeing?
Oh my gosh, it's so predictable and also really grim, and
hmm
also understandable. I think I have a lot of empathy for uh, people on Tinder right now seeking connection in a way that maybe a few weeks ago I wouldn't have. Um, it does, there are so many people who are just like publicly horny right now in a way that it's sort of
Oh, big
mind-boggling.
time.
Big time horny on Maine in a way that is like so mind-boggling. And also I get it. Like we're all, seeing people's stress responses in real time. Um,
Yeah.
and seeking human connection, being like I'm embodied, look at my body, like kind of tracks to me. It's not the weirdest reaction that I've seen. Um, I feel like the Tinder people fall into a few categories. There's some that are really clearly adapting and ready for quarantine dating, where their bios are like, "We'll never be able to meet. Like, let's
hmm
looking for my FaceTime queen." Like,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
and it's like, cool, okay, like great. Um, then there are people who like clearly have not updated or checked Tinder in a while, where it's
Yeah,
like,
it's still like, let's get drinks or whatever.
It's
like I
probably
love you.
just like
Yeah, walking. You're like, no, you don't. You're not outside.
it's
Um,
probably just like ghost profiles where like they
Yeah,
deleted the app but
like,
their
I
profile's
hate
still up.
small talk. Let's just go on a date.
right. Honestly, that is a really interesting point that I feel like is kind of a weird benefit for some people, in the sense that there are a lot of people who I think, for understandable reasons, are like, communicating online to find connection with people is not how I do things. I want to be face to face. I want to feel connection, whatever.
Yeah.
That's real. Fair. Like, no judgment against people who are like, I can sense connection better in person. Sure. But it's also been amazing to witness this moment where you're seeing a lot of people, by choice or not by choice, being forced to take things slower in
Mm-hmm.
a meeting people way, which sometimes can speed other things up. Like ask me about the weird phone sex I've been having. Um, a mess, a full mess. But yeah, I think that there are a lot of people a while ago would have been. Oh, can you guys hear me? It's doing the thing
You know,
again.
is there a way to
Yeah.
get closer to your speakers? Because it is kind of quiet.
How about now? Is that better?
I I don't know. Is it better, Alexandra?
Uh, yeah, it's fine. I mean, I'll
I can.
I'll adjust the audio levels too, um, when I
Okay.
edit it. But yeah.
My computer is a piece of shit. I apologize. It's just like the fan is whirring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Understandable. Yeah, Allison is also recently back on Tinder and
how's that been?
navigating.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of dudes are just like, who gives a fuck? Let's fuck. Like they really do not
Yeah.
care. And they make all the jokes like, I got toilet paper, come over, or whatever the
No.
fuck.
Like, it's a lot of the like I'm hoarding resources, but it's a fun joke
Right.
because I'm with you, my dream girl. And it's like, no, that's gross. I don't like that. Um
There's nothing hot about that at all.
there's nothing on one dude was like, it was kind of pure. He was like, I'll pick you up in my car, just you and me, no risk of spread. And I was like, I I am going to explain to you the social distancing and why this matters.
Yeah.
Um, and I've truly had like, most conversations I've had have been like a little bit of both, where it's like, how have you been spending your time? A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've been a lot more empathetic than I should be, and trying not to like tell everyone that their like ableism, sanism is showing. I'm just like, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
And picking my battles and just not responding to people because like, these are strangers that I'll never meet. Um, but yeah, then there are some people who it's like they I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. What was I telling you guys about? There's people. It's such a mess over here.
The different
Um,
types on Tinder. So there's the
oh,
the people that never have changed their profile. There's the
Yeah.
right.
people that are like
I
consciously
just
being
brought
like,
up,
okay.
yeah, the
And then
ones who
there's
are
the
like,
ones,
fuck this, let's do this, who
yeah.
cares?
Right.
And then there's the
Yeah.
guys that are like, yeah,
Yeah.
What's the
coronavirus,
big deal?
whatever.
I'm young, I'm healthy.
There's something really grim and fascinating to me, like imagining a man going in to change his Tinder bio at this point in time and being like, what's a topical about, how bad everything is that I can put here? And like that whole process to me, that like edit bio and then being like, I have toilet paper, makes
Mm-hmm.
me profoundly sad.
Yeah.
In a way I'm obsessed with. It's just like, oof,
Yeah.
oof.
And also being like, no one else on here has thought of this.
Oh my God.
No.
There's this one joke that I've seen so many Tinder bios put in their bio. It's the same fucking joke, and it's like, it just reminds me of like early Tinder days when dudes would like go on pickup artist sites and get like
Yeah.
advice on what bios to put.
And then
So
you
it would be
just
like
copy
dumb shit.
paste.
They would literally just copy paste and be like, "Oh, let me put Nutella on your body or whatever." You remember that classic? Whatever.
No.
I've been on Tinder for a long time. I've been through every stage. But now the one that I'm seeing on like bio after bio is if coronavirus doesn't take you out, can I?
Oh,
Oh,
That's on
God.
like I've seen it on like 50 profiles so far.
Uh,
there's all bios and the general aura I feel like is always a pretty good litmus test. Um, and like now looking at them, people are just telling on themselves faster than ever, honestly, because I see one of those like I'm immune compromised. I have zero time for this bullshit. Like I don't want you joking about this.
Mhm.
And I do think that this is a moment wherein we can find connection with people in a meaningful way. And like, yeah, I'm not gonna do that with people who are like, oh my gosh, like it just
Mhm.
the tone of it feels so dissonant in a way that is a lot clearer than I think it can be for other situations where you're like, oh, is that satire or is he being serious? And now it's like, I don't even care. I hate
Yeah.
it.
No
Mm-hmm.
matter,
Hate
yeah, either way it
it.
sucks.
I've also been on Tinder for 1,000 years. I feel like I used one like the beta version, like when it first came out. Like I feel like I was like 18 or 19,
Oh
and
wow.
oh, I've been on Tinder forever.
But how old are you now?
I'm 26.
Okay. So like a decade,
Um,
pretty much.
I've been on Tinder for my whole life. It feels like so long, and at this point, like I truly see people that I recognize, and I'm like, okay, have we gone on a date before? Do I know you
Mhm.
in real life? And the answer is almost always no. You've also been on Tinder for 4.5 years,
Yeah.
and I've seen you here.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's
Oh
the
yeah, I'll
regulars.
literally yeah, I'll like cuz I was in a relationship for a year and then we recently broke up, but I like went back on Tinder and I remember just like seeing a few guys and I'm like, "Wow, you're still here?" Like some of the same guys. I'm like, "Oh, like what's going on?"
Yeah, that when I pop back up, I'm like, I'm sure someone is just like, this bitch has been
Yeah.
so long.
Just find love already. What the fuck?
I know I like got off within like a really public relationship, never doing that again. Like learned the hard way.
Oh
Um,
no.
oh
Ooh,
yeah,
can you talk about that?
yeah. So it wasn't deliberate. I wasn't like I want to be a person in a relationship. It was just like I had like 400 followers on my Instagram account, and most of them were like related to me. And I was in a relationship, and so it was just like part of my life,
Yeah.
part of my world. Um, we created a bunch of stuff together. It was my first like, oh my god, I'm in love with this person relationship. So my
Mhm.
whole world was just like whoop, tunnel vision on the love, and what we created together, and our relationship was like sort of part of the creation. It was really complicated, but also really beautiful. It was very important to me, and also to him. And then we just started both kind of amassing more and more followers, and no one hands you a guide of like, here's how a bunch of people watching is going to change your whole life and fuck up the way you think about yourself and other people. So to me it was just like, sure, he's part of my life, and like more and more people are learning about my work and what I'm doing, and like here's the behind the scenes, and it was fun and we were cute together, and I had never been that person, and I had
Mhm.
always like observed other relationships online, and I always sort of judged them, and then I was like, you know what, I'm in love, like I'm everyone, like this rules.
Yeah.
I'm in
um
love and I don't care who knows it.
yeah, like truly it was like I've been going through my archives of my stories because I'm like pulling from things to make something. Um, and I have to try not to cringe at just how much of a relationship girl I was,
Mhm.
and how much I promoted his work, and how much I was like, you know, not really by way of a mission, was kind of like, this boy doesn't, he's not part of my work because I love him and we're dating, and so he can't be a good boy, um because this is my chosen person. And uh you know in my world that just means, yeah, it was a relationship, it's complicated, we loved each other, it was hard, it was messy, we did bad things to each other, neither of us are evil, like it was a relationship.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have people, the thing, um and at one point, all of a sudden there were like thousands of people watching us and knew that we were together, and would try to link, which drawings I made were maybe about him, or which
Mhm.
things he made were about me, and people shipped us. And I just saw kind of behind the scenes like how literal the work I was making was. And it was not, at the time, all I could think about was, I'm in love and I'm happy. And in retrospect, I want to shake myself and I want to be like, you know, there's nothing wrong with being loudly in love and in a relationship that rules, but I did not realize that like me being a woman who makes art mostly about, you know, the performative goodness of men, of everyone, but you know, mostly men and why we reward them for doing the least. Um, I did not realize that me drawing intricate, nuanced, what I think are really brilliant cartoons, um, that, you know, got a lot of attention and got a lot of support, but, you know, weren't like making the rounds because they're tricky and like um they make you think, and that's my goal, is to make people think, not to like be a viral Instagram star. Like I really truly don't give a shit. And it was really weird kind of navigating that with someone who I was constantly like, hey, follow my real life boyfriend, and then watching how quickly people responded to his work
Mm.
and how much they loved it. And it's still hard for me to disentangle what is like, oh, his work is really good and smart, versus here was a dude that I was saying I'm holding him on a platform, the same platform that I satirize literally all day long. You have
Mm.
my permission to go and love him. Um, and people would send me messages about how amazing he was. They would tell me how cool it was that we were together. When you search my name on Google, like you still get boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. Like everything that I made was like inextricably linked to this person that I did truly love, but also without knowing was like making part of my work in a way that I
Mm.
really resented, because it wasn't about him. I really do not draw about my real relationships, which
Mm-hmm.
is something endlessly frustrating, because people are like, where do you find these people? Like, who's this asshole you're dating? And I'm like, I'm a writer. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, this is informed by my real experience. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so relatable. Obviously, like, we've all been there, but I'm picking scenes, I'm crafting things, I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating. And there was just so much, dude, where I was like, people are just seeing my work as a diary entry, and they're
Mm-hmm.
just looking to make as woman is processing how hard dating is for her. And I'm like, I'm a fucking comedian and an illustrator, and I'm making catharsis out of things that are really bad, but people could only really see me as tethered to this man, which was really frustrating and really took me years to kind of process, just because I was watching behind the scenes as more and more people started following me. The meaner people were to me. Obviously, like, you know,
Mm.
it's all relative. I really don't get that much harassment, given like I present as a cartoon face and behind that like I'm white. Like it's just, I have it really easy. Um, but seeing the direct comparison, oh my god, like oh my god, people were nonstop harassing me, sending me personal emails, sending me mailed letters. Like it was just
Oh my
nonstop. And it
God.
was, I was like, what is this world? And now I've adjusted, and it's, you know, I have a lot better boundaries around it. But at the beginning, I was like, I was so reactive. Um, I was just really not sure about how to spend my energy in terms of responding to people who didn't like my work or didn't agree with it. So I was like
Yeah.
really in fighting with people. Um, and he just never had that. And people would just go to his page and tell him how much they loved it. People would ask him on dates all of the time. He
Mm.
would flirt back with them, which I found
Mm-hmm.
out in a really gross way.
Oh
Oh
Yeah.
boy.
no.
Some sent him nudes. Like the being able to see my DM inbox and his next to each other at the same time that I was drawing cartoons about men being celebrated for doing the least. Inadvertently, also, you know, I didn't launch his career. He's talented, but I did tag him a whole fucking lot, being like,
You
"Hey,
sure
follow
helped. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
helped." And it was really messy, and it really was only in like the last year or two that I was like, "Oh my god, I'm allowed to be really upset about that."
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't. I was just like, you know, not worth comparing. I saw what I was making work about. Like it just proved my point. And it just, oh my God, it was just so grim. Um, and seeing people's responses to me while I was in a relationship publicly and then when I was not was really interesting. I felt like women, especially, were a lot nicer to me when I was publicly dating a man that I would tag. And
Mm.
then,
Interesting.
yeah, and I feel like
What do you think that is?
my cynical reading of it is that I'm making work about how much men suck. and proving that a man still loved me despite what I was saying was really intoxicating.
Mm.
A lot of people, when we broke up, it was like, oh yeah, you can't sustain a relationship and be that outspoken about men. And it's like, actually you can, and this was just not the right relationship at the right time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was having other people know who I was dating and message me about that and then keep me updated on, people would be like, oh, he's dating someone else, I just saw. And it was
Oh
like,
gosh.
yeah, a nightmare. Never date anyone who has an Instagram following. If
Oh
you
man. Yeah.
um yeah, and now I feel like I'm so secretive. Like since then I've really dated a bunch of people, and like none of them have seen the light of day. I'm like, absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
not only like, but like for years, like I do not want people that I'm dating to have to be analyzed in the way that I am in any way, shape, or form.
Mhm.
And I also don't want to see them celebrated just for being with me, because like no, 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 it's too literal.
Yeah.
It's too
Oh,
much pressure.
way too much pressure. And like I think that some people that I've dated more recently have been sort of like, it feels weird to like be left out of your public life completely. Um, and I'm like, sure, but also, um, I I know too well at this point, like what people will do if you hand them a hetero couple and just be like, choose your fave.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm just like, my self-esteem can't handle that. I need to be the one making the work and getting the attention, which is something that like I've never let myself do or have.
Mhm.
And I want the supports behind the scenes, and that's been way more meaningful. Um, so Tinder and dating apps are kind of a good intermediate, because it's like, I don't actually know these people. I would never post screenshots with people that I like know and am dating without permission. And it's a little bit of a morally gray area where I'm like, I have one conversation with a dude and I'll probably take a screenshot. I'm not gonna like put his name in there, but like, I don't know.
Oh yeah. I've
Yeah.
done that shit. That's like,
Yeah,
come on.
it feels really fine. But
If they're
also,
saying some dumb shit, I don't feel for them.
yeah, I feel the same way. And then there are moments where it's like it's eerie.
Mhm.
And I think it is a case by case thing. I think the more you like know the person, or obviously if there's identifying details, that's totally different.
Yeah.
um oh,
Definitely
why
leave
is
pictures and names out, but
which is really weird about this sort of like plethora of dating content that leaves pictures in. It just makes me
yeah,
so uncomfortable.
agreed. And then I hate when I'll get comments or people will say shit like, show their face, like, out this asshole. It's like, no, no, no.
Well, I guess I have to take a little bit of responsibility because when I first started, when I first started by Felipe, I definitely left in their faces and their names. This was
Oh
like
yeah.
this was like 5 years ago, like in the
I mean,
beginning of
Well,
Instagram and like the beginning of all that. And
yeah.
also the people that I outed were like egregious.
They were
Like
saying really awful
really bad
shit.
things. But now
yeah.
I don't do it at all because Instagram, mostly because Instagram's policies have changed and they're owned by Facebook now, and like any I'm afraid of posting shit honestly for like getting kicked off because stuff that I post all the time just gets taken down, and
Yeah.
I just like don't want to get my account deleted, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I feel it's been such an interesting few years in the like chronicling dating.
Yeah.
um and at this point I'm sort of like, there are still so many things, accounts popping up that are just kind of screenshot based. um and I'm just like, it's it feels, I don't even know, at a certain point I'm like, what does this do?
Mhm.
Yeah, I
um
mean, I think at this point we know what's going on, and it's now like
Yeah.
we have to pivot the conversation a little bit.
Yeah.
Um,
And on
And
a positive note, like when I look at Tinder now versus when I was on Tinder like 6 years ago, 7 years ago, I do feel like a lot has changed for the better. Like, obviously, there are still shitty people on it, but
mhm.
I'm noticing because, like, I would get sent a shit ton of crude, rude, disgusting messages constantly. Everything would be like really creepy and pervy and horny, like all the time. I'd get unsolicited dick pics all the time. And I have noticed, I don't know if that's me changing my behavior to the point where I'm not getting it as much, but I don't feel like I have that much. Like, I
Mhm.
do feel overall like the culture has kind of gotten what we were complaining about. Like, I feel like a lot of men at this point understand that they can't behave the way that we've, like, called them out for behaving, you know?
Era of the good boy. Here they are.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. You know what I mean, though? Like, I'm not getting those things anymore that I was getting. Like, they're still shitty guys at the end of the day, but
I cannot send you a dick pic until our third text combo. And like,
Yes.
dude, I'm the
zero.
one having to ask for dick pics.
I'm trying to get for one this is so embarrassing. I've been trying to solicit a dick pic from someone for truly 7 months. I don't think it'll ever. Um, the context dick pics like, do nothing for me. Like I just don't care about them. I think it is like an act of submission that I love.
Hmm.
But the
Yeah.
actual photo, like, what am I gonna do with this? I
Yeah.
don't care. I
You
don't
know, I
care.
used to think that way, but lately I've been changing my mind. Like, I've been looking at dick pics in a new way. But
Yeah,
it really
because
depends. Oh, yeah.
background if you don't know, Allison recently started critiquing dick pics for
For
cash.
money. I'm like telling dudes to like pay me to rate their dick pics, and it's actually working. And I'm
Wow.
noticing that like, cause like I've always been turned on by, maybe this is like a self-obsessed thing. I've always been turned on by my own nudes,
Same, same. Yeah.
Mhm.
right? Like, oh shit, I just took a really good nude there. That's hot. Like, I
Mhm.
think men just don't, they've never had to like look at themselves the way women have had to look at themselves. So like
Mhm.
they'll take dick pics where it's like you see like their fucking basketball on the floor and like they're still wearing like pajama shorts and like
Yeah.
they don't have a sheet on their bed and it's like, "Oh my God." Like,
Because they're so used to seeing everything catered through the male gaze, which is their
mhm.
gaze. And they're like, yeah,
Exactly.
so of course they want it from my gaze, from what I see. Like what other perspective could there be?
Right.
Don't want to role play as you looking down at your own.
Yeah.
I know.
There are so many like that where it's like, why would I, like I could just go to Pornhub.
I
See such
know.
beautiful people who are like taking artful nudes and like it's such an ordeal and it's so fun and it's so sexy and then they're just like boop and it's just
Do you know how many dick pics I've seen that they're not even in focus? It's like you couldn't even like take one more photo to make sure that your dick was in focus. Like that's the level of effort you're putting into a dick pic.
And you're
love it.
like, number one, can't see the dick.
Yeah, like for real though. It's wild.
That is a great project.
Thank you. I'm trying to get more business drummed up. I'm almost able to pay rent off of it this month,
Nice.
Whoa.
which is crazy. Yeah.
That's great. I love
But
that.
my rent's pretty cheap. I'm very lucky to not have super expensive rent, so I live in a
Cool.
basement.
There's all of a lot of men trying to pivot to digital. I don't know. This is off topic, but also on topic. I feel like a lot of people right now are using the sort of pivot to technology everyone is being forced to make who can make it. As sort of this like role play of Spike Jonze's Her, the movie,
Mm.
where
Mhm.
it's like, oh, like what hot disembodied voice am I gonna get to help me come at night? And
Mhm.
like that's cool and great and fine. I hope those people would just pay for that service from someone who is offering. Um, and in the like sort of the mutual, the Tindering, the it does feel I just have I it is radiating off of people of this like I want you to be my my Scarlett Johansson in my pocket and just was like
Yeah.
pretending.
I have gotten text messages from at least two guys that I used to sleep with being like, hey, how's it going? Like, how
Mm-hmm.
are you holding up? And I'm like, don't even talk to me. I know what you
Yeah.
want. I know you want me to like talk you off right now, but I am not in the mood. And like, what are you going to do for me?
I have gotten those, and then admittedly, I have also been sending those. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not great. Um, I don't know. I've come up with a theory, and I don't know if this is just self-serving to protect myself from my own shitty behavior, but I feel like, in this moment of general uncertainty, um, I've seen a lot of people have this reaction of like, how dare, this person that I actually had a fine relationship with and don't date anymore reach out to me.
Right.
The horror. And obviously there are situations in which like absolutely not okay, no, no, no. But there's some, like some people that have reached out to me where I've been like, this is lovely. Like
Mm-hmm.
we
Yeah.
used to really care about each other, we don't anymore. Um, it's not really platonic, but it's not romantic either. It's just sort of like a mutual like, oh, humans that I love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's
It's not
nice in the
always
sense
bad.
that it's like someone that you're comfortable with and you like trust to a degree more than like a complete stranger.
Yeah.
totally,
So that's kind of nice too. Yeah.
I mean,
totally.
any like human connection that we can have during this time that feels comfortable, like go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love I don't know, something that used to really Tinder or on dating apps would be those people who would try to speed up the meeting process and be
Ugh.
like, we talked about this a little in the beginning, but like I'm just thinking of like how, the very valid reality of I can sense connection better when I'm in person versus that's not safe for everyone. And also
Mm-hmm.
um it's fair and real to want to talk with people before you put the time and energy into going to meet someone. And to me, as someone who is like very online all of the time,
Mhm.
communicates online, primarily, I trust my ability to kind of gauge conversation with people online and be able to see whether we should meet. Obviously, sometimes like you get it so wrong, but you know, I sort of take every conversation with someone online, whether it's dating or otherwise, as a sort of Rorschach test where I'm like, I'm going to throw out some things and see how they respond. And when I'm on Tinder with absolute strangers, I'm 100% a troll. Like, I just want to see how people respond to things. I want to see if they understand humor. I want to see if they,
What
um,
kind of things do you do to troll people?
oh my gosh, my classic for many years that I don't do as much anymore was that I would like flirt with someone, we'd get to talking. It would be like, right about the time, like we'd exchange numbers, we'd be like, haven't met yet. And then I would Google a picture of their name tattooed, and then I would send it to them and be like, what do you think?
Ah. That's
And like,
great.
everyone was like, okay, like, oh, it's weird. And then some people would just okay, like weeded that one out.
They just wouldn't respond. That's so funny.
Uh, Sometimes I like to design like sort of Dungeons and Dragon like role play little games where I'll like give them a few options like okay, you're walking through a forest and like a witch woman comes and she's trying to barter for some soup. Um, I just kind of feel like I have no ways like uh on the base level, everyone is just serving as a platform for me to kind of test material. That is always what Tinder has been for me, honestly. And if it works, great. And you also in the process, like you can pretty quickly find out, someone's humor and also like
Mhm.
their willingness to play along.
Yeah.
And just sort of, I mean, it's really hard when you're scrolling past really quick to be like, is that person a comedic genius or are they terrifying? And like I feel that about so many people where I'm like, this is either the funniest bio I've ever seen or this is like really scary.
Oh,
Yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, is this a joke or are you an actual murderer? I can't tell either way.
So hard to tell. I just like to get it out of the way really fast. I don't really have time for small talk, even with, Tinder conversations where I'm like, if we really want to know about our family structure, at one point we will get there, but like that's not super important to me right now. Let's
Yeah.
take things out of the way.
So do you kind of like initiate the conversation so it like do you kind of lead the conversation in that way so that it's not just a bunch of small talk? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I it really depends. The last week or so, like my re-arrival to Tinder, I have been like messaging people in ways that I truly never have before. Like I've been sending like a bunch of heart emojis to people and like
oh.
I've been being like cute, which is like I don't know who I am. It's really
trying some different things
I
out.
mean, it's the apocalypse, might as well
really weird.
see what sticks.
See what sticks. I have found a Tinder romance already, which has been lovely. I think we'll probably just be friends because the likelihood of us ever meeting is like, um,
Yeah.
but it's kind of amazing. It was one of those things where we started talking. It became really clear that at first actually I was like I have no idea what's going on here. It was just like so all over the place. And then when we exchanged numbers and started texting, um, we were like, oh, we are bonding in a moment of crisis. And we were able to really clearly articulate that with each other. So it
Hmm.
became kind of, it sort of it's gone a lot faster than I think anything would have had we met for drinks and then, kissed or whatever. There is this element of distance that is both making it really exciting and sexy and also kind of safe. And, letting us just talk about, real things. And it's also gotten real really quickly because everything is so scary right now, where it's just been like, we immediately got off the bat, like our health stuff and the mutual aids that we're giving to. And it just got really serious really fast in a way that I was like, I don't know that we would have gotten here ever if we had gone and grabbed drinks and tried to do the small talk thing. Like there was something really poignant about being like, we both want human connection. We're both able to articulate that and then have found each other and are really getting along,
Hmm.
um, which was kind of beautiful,
Hmm.
um, and not something that I think could happen without the current conditions. I think we would have probably just tried to meet. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that would have been a mistake.
I think it's like the universe is being like, okay, everyone, you're forced to slow down. Like everything's going way too fast. Take a minute, take a breather, and sorry, my microphone, I think. Okay. Uh but yeah, I think there's going to be some really interesting and powerful relationships that come out of this in the end. Allison
So
also
too.
has been talking to someone on Tinder. How's that going?
I ended it.
Oh no.
I actually ended it.
Oh, they were talking for a while and they were supposed to like eventually meet up, but
Well,
or
yeah.
possibly.
I
It
mean, I don't
was
know. It was always like discussed, but never made into a plan. But it's like, okay, we're both isolating. It's been 3 weeks. Like, but then that is forced exclusivity. Like, we would have to just be with each other. And like, I knew from the get-go he wasn't looking for a relationship. And I kind of, just because out of like a maybe loneliness and like, just being in this position, I was like, well, and he was really cool, and it's really hard in LA. I don't know how it is in New York. In LA, I find it very hard to match with a guy that I actually want to talk to. Like,
Yeah.
and that also seems genuinely interested in talking to me, and he like really wanted to like talk and like have real conversations, and we would FaceTime a few times. Like, we FaceTimed like almost every day or every other day, and I'm the kind of person who you were talking about who like needs to have that in person. Like as much as we were FaceTiming and stuff, I was like, this feels off for me. Like I do need to have that real human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's just the kind of person I am. But I tried. I still gave it a go, and we still kept FaceTiming. And last night, actually, I was just like, okay, my feelings are growing for you. They're developing. We started this off as like, okay, we're just going to chat as friends because you don't want a relationship. But then it got more and more flirty as we kept talking and kind of started feeling less like we were chatting as friends and more like we were chatting like in a romantic way. So I was like, okay, I just need to ask you again, like, if you're not interested in a relationship, are you at least interested in like exclusively dating if we're gonna maybe meet in person, like we would have to be exclusive. And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, then I gotta stop this because I don't want my feelings to keep growing if, like, this isn't gonna be anything deeper than just, like, having,
Yeah.
you know.
That's really great. And it's hard to do that because especially like you think like a younger Allison would have done that.
Mm. Yeah, no, a younger Allison would have been like, he says he doesn't want a relationship, but maybe if we keep getting to know each other, he'll just be like, oh wow, how could I not want a relationship with this girl? And
Yeah,
just straight
like
up
maybe I
fall
can
in love
change
with
him.
me. And he'll completely change his mind and we'll get married and it'll be perfect.
I call that the reverse Pygmalion.
The what?
The reverse Pygmalion. I
Yeah.
wrote a chapter about it in my book
Yeah.
where it's like, oh my God, for all of the stuff that I write and think about in terms of like, men shaping and molding our desires to suit theirs. Oh boy, do we do it too.
Yep.
Mm,
Yep.
And just the falling in love, falling in like with potential and being like, I'll get you there, I'll fix you, I'll change you. I love a broken man. I
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
love it. I'm obsessed. And it's so bad.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really, really bad. Yeah, I was in my first sort of like healthy relationship recently.
Mm.
And I ended things because um I didn't want monogamy and he was sort of ready for that.
Oh.
Um
Are you non-monogamous overall
um
or?
Overall, I don't hmm I usually am not monogamous.
Mm-hmm.
Recently that's just been sort of me flowing around between a bunch of different partners that I have. In the past, it's been sort of I've had a primary person, and then other people.
Mm.
Um, uh, so it really depends. But yeah, I've been I would say I have a rotation of people most times,
That's
and then I
nice.
kind of filter in and out. Yeah, I feel like I have a pretty good a
Mhm.
pretty good system. Um,
Nice little
and
rotation going.
yeah, I got a nice little rotation. There's people sub in, sub out. Like everyone, for the most part, is like really lovely. I feel like I've been, picking a lot better people the older I get. Where I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh wow, being treated well is something that I like. Um, and yeah, it's also been a weird and good exercise for me. Like a few years ago, I think if I got along with someone and they were nice to me, I would be like, okay, we're married. Like I'm in this relationship forever. And then, this past year, I've been in several different, flings and relationships, and everyone has been really great. And like none of them were my person. And it
Mm-hmm.
was really weird being like, whoa, people can be really great and not be your person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that was so new to me because my whole life I was like, this person's really great. They must be my person. And it's actually allowed me to like really important boundaries in relationships that I think I didn't really know how to for a while, where I could be like, hey, you rule. The time we spend together is awesome and meaningful to me. I think this looks more like a friendship. Or, hey, like, it was just like, oh, wow, when you have people who you respect them and they respect you. Um, I've just been able to have really, kind of the conversations that I think I've been wanting with people for years, where I could just sit down and be like, hey, here's how I'm feeling. I really care about you. I don't want a relationship with you right now. Um, and just be able to connect with people who understand that you can be caring and supportive and intimate without, being attached to someone with a label. And I think for a while I was dating people who were like, I don't know how to be affectionate unless, it's all or nothing. And,
Mm.
the past years I've been with people where it's been really casual, but they've still made me feel really loved, and made me feel really supported and vice versa. And then we've been able to have conversations about like, hey, I'm dating other people, or, I want to continue dating other people and you might not want that right now. What does the next step of our relationship look like? Um, I've been really proud of myself. I feel like a real adult. I've definitely messed a lot of things up along the way, but it has been really cool to just be able to be communicative in a real way,
Mm-hmm.
with a bunch of different people and have them all know about each other. I'm not trying to have anyone meet, but just being like, yeah, there are other people, this.
Yeah.
Let me know how much you want to know.
Seems like you
Um,
have like a secure attachment style,
yeah,
is
and
what
I
it sounds like.
that was true for a really long time. I was really like my big public relationship that I was talking about. Um, the irony of that one is that like that was the first relationship in which I really felt seen by a dude, and that was more important to me than I wanted to admit to
Mm,
myself.
mm-hmm.
Like it just made me feel like I was the fucking queen of the world. And his belief in me and in my work was really like the impetus for so much of what I've done since. And so like recognizing that like his validation of me really was important to me, um, is really hard to, you know, disentangle from being like, I don't need that, because I did need it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and now I'm trying to move forward into this
You
of
needed
like, you
that
know,
at that point of your life.
Hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, what does it look like where like I'm entering into relationships as the person I am now?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you know, my work is also a really good litmus test, honestly. Like people see what I'm doing and they either fucking run talk to me, or they try to get featured, which they always think they're doing
Oh
right. But
God.
I think that no one's done this before. Like, come on.
Hmm.
Um, like please. um or they don't understand, or they try to argue with me about it, or they think that everything's about them. Like there are
Yep.
so many different red
Oh
flags.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that take everything personally, and they're like, "Well, I don't do this."
I remember, like, I guess it may be a year ago, I was dating a few different people and I posted a cartoon, and several different people messaged me to say, is this about me?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, well, if you see it as you, then it's like not.
Right. It's like, why even ask?
I
Like,
wasn't thinking of you in particular, but if you feel personally attacked, then maybe it might be.
an amazing self-own where I'm like, it just is, I just don't need men to inspire me, but it's so cute that you thought that you were featured in this. um but it's also, it's just so funny, it's so funny. And you know, then with people that I am, you know, dating in a more real way, there are also some really genuine and fair questions that come up around what it means to be dating someone who does work like this. And there's been some tough conversations where it's like, hey, when I'm posting about Tinder, when I'm posting about dating, that's performed for my audience and not about my current reality. I'm dating you. And like those,
Yeah.
you know, those things, I think I used to be really resistant to. I used to be like, well, what do, you know, fuck that. Who needs that? And now I'm like, of course, people who are dating me in real life deserve to have honest conversations about what it means to date someone with this many people watching their work about how men fail. Like, that's
Yeah.
Mhm.
really fair.
Totally.
So I think I've sort of fluctuated between the sort of like, uh, men are trash and it doesn't matter, and then the sort of like, oh, I'm trash, and then the, you know,
Yeah.
my resting middle, everyone's trash.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all trash, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
We love it. But yeah, I think for a while I was like sort of resistant to the idea that men could have a say in how they felt about my work. And then when I sort of thought of it as like a, here's a person I know in real life that is watching what I'm creating and trying to figure out how they fit in that, like, yeah, we should
Yeah.
talk about that.
Totally.
It is still frustrating when people know that and then still are like, you know, and I mean, to their credit, many of them have just been like, hey, I can't follow you, it's too
Hmm.
much. I'm like, fair. Like, get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
um and um it just feels, it feels a little hurtful because I'm like, you know, I wish that people could just support what I am doing all of the time and not feel personally implicated, especially because like I don't name them ever. And you know, not want to be part of my public life, to be seen as like a good person, for being with me. It's been really complicated
Yeah, it's really
behind
hard
standing.
divorcing those two things of like, okay, this is my online persona and this is real life and they are separate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've definitely felt that too with like
Yeah.
trying to you know, connect with my audience and like have these important conversations that we need to have, and then also in real life being like, this is completely separate, and you know that, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I post so much old
mm-hmm,
content. Like, I really just am like constantly pilfering through my own archives
mm-hmm,
because, productivity is a scam. And, there are things that I'll post from years ago, and people in my life now will be like, I didn't realize that you were like dating again, or I didn't realize you were on apps. And it's
mm-hmm.
like, yeah, no, I'm not. Like, this is something that I, pulled up because I needed a post for today.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And the same goes with sort of like being flirty and being fun. And it just like, I get it. Like, I probably would not want to follow me if I was dating me either. Um, and I used to think that was just like inherent weakness. And now I'm just like, no, that's
yeah,
just a choice that people are fully allowed to make.
yeah.
Um,
I would sometimes feel like disappointed if they didn't follow me. Like, oh, you're not supporting me. Like, this is my job. Like, you don't support me. And it's like, you know what? It's not for everyone.
yeah. Do you get the thing too where this is a weird phenomenon I've had that I think many women online have certainly experienced, where um, a dude is like, I love your work so much, and is like right in there and super supportive, shares it, whatever. And then it becomes clear that you won't fuck him, and he just leaves and like just unfollows. Um, I
Yeah.
had this like big,
Yeah.
big meme. I had this big meme man like follow my work, and we matched on Raya, and we like share some mutual friends, and so it was like whatever. And he followed my work. He used to like all my posts. He was just like very involved, very supportive, and I was like, cool, this is great. And then I, made it clear that I wasn't interested romantically, and he just like unfollowed me, doesn't engage, just
Oh
like not
yeah,
down.
for sure. Yeah.
I was
Big
like, oh my
That's
time.
god,
great.
so cool that you told me that my work was smart and hilarious to do with trying to fuck. Got it.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. You got to weed some out sometimes.
Oh yeah. My new return to Tinder. So like the last time that I was on, Raya is linked to Tinder. I mean, linked to Tinder. Raya is linked to Instagram. So everyone knows immediately who you are and what you're doing, which is
Yeah.
like, a gift and a curse, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for the most part, I really hate Raya, but I have found a few people on it who are like genuinely great. Um, and then on Tinder, like you can be super anonymous, which I love, except that sometimes people recognize me. One dude sent me a message and was just like, hey, I love your work so much. I'm wondering what dating is going to be like in this digital age. And like, what are you thinking about that? Are we going to be Zooming? Are we going to be FaceTiming? And I was like, sir, I'm trying to get a dick pic. This is like, I'm not working.
Yeah.
I'm on,
Not on the clock
I'm
here.
not on the clock. It was so frustrating.
On the
But
cock, not on the clock.
yeah,
Trademark.
it's so surreal to just be sort of anonymous, then sort of be recognized. Then I've been doing this thing where I've just been telling people my Instagram handle because I'm just like, I'm never gonna meet these people. Like when meeting is sort of a factor, I'm really cautious about.
Yeah. Me too. Like sometimes
Yeah,
I will wait and not say what I do. And sometimes I'll say it like a little bit before, but
yeah, I'm usually just like, oh, I'm a writer, and then they're
Yeah.
like, can we read this stuff? And I'm like, no. But yeah, I've been doing this new thing where I just send it straight to them, and that's the first time in years that I've seen like men outside of the orbit of my existing world respond to my work in real time, and it's such a gift. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. It's so funny. There's like the genuine confusion, then there's the anger, then there are the sort of like meta good boys who really want to be in on it and
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
prove that they get it.
Mm-hmm.
Did you just have a post recently of a bunch of these that you got?
It, it
Yeah.
was just such a, oh my gosh, it was such an experience. I really was like excited about being back on Tinder like 2 weeks ago, and it lasted like 2 days.
Sorry.
And then I like found a person that I wanted to talk to more seriously, and then sort of like abandoned ship. I was like, this is so stressful right now. Um, and then I went back in today right before this call to be like, what's been cooking? And like, oh my gosh, so many cute matches, but I just have no energy or desire to like get messages from these people like, how are you staying sane in this time? And then have to be like, oh, full body cringe, like I hate you already. So I've just been sort of ignoring it at this point. My reply guys on Instagram are getting fun.
Wait, what?
Sorry,
You
they're
cut
getting
out.
what?
My reply guys are getting really bold.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
I mean, the beautiful irony of my work is that men who know what I do not know how to engage with me. I think it's much different if you know me in real life. I'm like, this just sounds like an asshole. I'm very normal and chill in real life, and I'm quite a lot online. So I totally understand that if you saw me only on online, uh, in an online space, you'd be like, I don't know what to do with this
Just being
person.
a little terrified.
Yeah, and so men are just like generally a bit confused about how to respond to me, to the point where I'm like, please sext me, like please send me 30 things. Like this is I'm like pulling teeth to try to get you to understand that like, this is allowed. We are consenting adults. Like you don't have to be a good boy right now.
Yeah.
Um and it just becomes this like really hilarious performance of like what they think I want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Um and it's both like pretty excruciating to watch, and then also I kind of love it. Like it's very rare that you get to watch in real time straight men be so hyper aware of
Yeah.
Yeah. I do kind of enjoy it when I'm like, yeah, you should be scared of me.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
and
it's
like
kind
I
of hot.
can't stop anything. Yeah, ruin your life. I wouldn't, but you know they've just been like so tender and so nice in a way that like is really so dissonant with like who I am as a person, where I'm like, I don't do cutesy shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I really just like want you to send a sext and like be confident about it, and I will sext you right back. But
Mhm.
it's just this like, oh, what do you think about the, and I'm like, it's so frustrating.
Yeah, for
The
sure.
epitome of being good boys. I'm like, you're actually being like, a responsible dude, and all I want is the dick pic. I'm the good boy. Um, anyway.
Well, I think we're getting to the end of our episode today. But maybe you can stick around, and we usually do a little bonus episode for our Patreon subscribers. But for the
Oh,
rest of you, how can people follow you? And if you want to plug your book and all that stuff.
yeah, let me plug my book. I'm on Instagram at Awards for Good Boys. I don't know when this episode is coming out.
Tuesday.
Oh wow, that's soon. Okay, in which case I would um, to go to my Instagram page. There's two saved highlights, both titled COVID. They've got a lot of mutual aids that you can give to, a lot of resources for what you can do to help from your home if you're capable. I would just really love for people to go and share those and give your money away if you still have an income right now. Um, and after you've given to all those mutual aids, you can buy my book, preferably through your local bookstore. I know a lot of indie bookstores are doing curbside deliveries, so if you can call them and support your local bookstore and me in the process, that rules.
Yeah. And
Yeah, that's great.
if you call them, they will order any book for you. They will be happy
Yeah,
to do it, you guys.
local bookstores rule. They're just the best. If you get on the phone with the bookseller, just ask them what to read. Like there's no one better to talk to about what to read than booksellers. They know everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, obviously your libraries, I don't, that's not super accessible right now. IndieBound, also a great place to order books. Anything but Amazon is the LDR. And what else do I have? Oh, I have a newsletter. It's out every Friday. It's let me look. I think it's awardsforgoodboys.substack.com. Yes, it is. I got it right.
Awesome.
Yeah, and that's just about broader takes on the world and who we celebrate for doing the bare minimum. It's mostly about celebrities, because I'm obsessed with like them, with everything, and with stan culture. Anyways, yeah, that's where you can find me.
Cool.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for being on the show, and stick around. We'll talk some more on our Patreon, patreon.com/be single. All right. Bye.
Thanks so much for
Bye.
having me.